Hi, I'm Mike Norsher from Ram Clutches. Today we're going to take a look at Ram's hydraulic release bearings. Hydraulic release bearings are a great choice if you're building a car, have limits on your chassis, maybe not enough room for a mechanical linkage, or you're just looking to install something that's going to make everything a little bit smoother operating and give you a nice pedal effort. And taking a look at some of the kits that are available, there's a universal kit that works for Muncie, T10, Saginaw, and GM Tremec transmissions. This is going to include all the basic stuff you need to install it and the bleeder setup. And when we move on to the more vehicle specific applications, these are also going to include the feed line and the other fittings and connectors you need to adapt this system right up to the factory master. For Ford applications using a Tremec or a T5 transmission, the kit's also going to include a replacement collar, so you'll just unbolt your existing collar and bolt this one in place. There's two different versions of the Ram hydraulic bearing. One is a standard duty you see on the left, and then the heavy duty, which is on the right hand side. The standard duty uses a much smaller O-ring. It's not designed for real severe duty use, whereas the heavy duty has larger O-rings and also backup rings to help keep that O-ring in the slot. And we're going to recommend these for pretty much any application where you're using it in a street car or somewhere where it's difficult to get to the hydraulic bearing should you have some issues. These are pretty easily differentiated. When you have them side by side, you see the thinner housing on the standard duty bearing and then the thicker housing on the heavy duty. All the kits that are vehicle specific are going to include the heavy duty release bearing. So if you purchase a specific model for a Camaro, Corvette, something like that, or if you get one of the Ford Tremec or T5 packages, that's going to have the heavy duty included already. And taking a little closer look at the release bearing itself, the total potential travel of this bearing is 800 thousandths. So typically a clutch is going to take somewhere between 3 and 400 thousandths. This gives you plenty of flexibility in setting up your initial gap between the clutch and the bearing. Now, setting up and adjusting the height of the bearing is very simply achieved using a set of conical shaped shims that come with the bearing. You simply slide these shims over the collar and then replace the bearing back on, and you'll redo your measuring for your setup height at that point in order to determine exactly how far you have that bearing positioned away from the clutch fingers. And one of the inherent characteristics of hydraulic release bearings is they tend to engage a little bit higher up on the pedal. This is because the bearing's starting at a position right in front of the fingers, and by using the pedal adjuster, you're able to set that pedal position anywhere from midpoint or down lower to the floor in order to get that pedal exactly where you like the feel and the drivability. So summing it all up, a hydraulic bearing can be a great addition to your driveline. The one thing to keep in mind is it does require some careful measurement when you're setting these bearings up. Just like the old woodworking adage, measure 3 times, cut once. You want to make sure that you take your time when you're doing the setup, and as long as you do that and you're very thorough, you should be able to enjoy years of life with your Ram hydraulic bearing.